Hi friends, I'm Dave Barnhart, pastor of St. Junia United Methodist Church, and I've been sharing with you some of my favorite parts of the Bible. And I realized as I've been talking, I've been making a distinction between critical reading and devotional reading without really explaining what I mean when I say critical reading. Now, I really believe that we can read the Bible both critically and devotionally, but a lot of times people are scared or put off by that word critical, as if you're criticizing the Bible or saying negative things about it. But that's not really what critical reading means. Critical reading, the way I define it, is reading like a detective, reading to really kind of get at something beyond just the surface meaning of a text. When we're reading critically, we're asking sort of those reporter questions that we learn hopefully in elementary school. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. The who questions might be who was writing and who are they writing to. We want to know the author and the audience. The when and where questions are about history. What was going on when this was written? Where did this happen? What was the situation that the author was actually addressing? What were the particular concerns of the community? Were they being persecuted? Were they having a crisis of leadership? Were there other scandals they were trying to deal with? These are all the kinds of questions we ask when we're doing critical study. We're not just taking the text necessarily at face value. We're trying to get below the surface of it, to uncover more of what was going on when it was written and what it meant to the original hearers of the text. I don't think that critical reading necessarily helps us get to a real meaning of Scripture that's somehow better than devotional reading, but I do think that it helps us to recognize our own biases, our own prejudices that we bring to the text. I think it helps us to uncover some of the preconceived notions we might have about the Bible when we approach it. Critical reading also recognizes that there might be more going on underneath the text even after you ask these questions. For example, someone could be writing from the perspective of someone who is famous. We see this a lot with social media quotations that make the rounds, like sayings attributed to Albert Einstein or Thomas Jefferson that were actually spoken by someone else. This happens in Bible times as well. David gets credit for writing a lot of psalms that he probably didn't write. Solomon gets credited with writing the Song of Songs or Song of Solomon. Paul gets letters attributed to him that he probably didn't write also. And sometimes a purported audience isn't the real audience. I can write something as though I'm addressing it to one party, but intend for my message to be overheard by a third party. But really, my intent was to write it to the third party the whole time. This happens in politics all the time. People use code words and catchphrases, and they hide messages within things they say in public that will be heard by their constituents or by other people one way and by other people a different way. The when question can also be tricky because it's not always just about knowing when something happened, but knowing what the context was of that situation as well. For example, the story of Daniel is about an official dealing with religious persecution in Babylon during the Babylonian exile. But the story was written hundreds of years later during a different persecution, under Antiochus IV. The idea was to give the audience hope by telling them about something that had happened hundreds of years earlier. Again, we see the same sort of thing happen in our own world when we talk about the challenges that the founding fathers of America faced. We'll talk about the trials of World War II or the trials of Vietnam, and we'll compare that to modern events as well. Now, I'm not saying that Daniel isn't an important book or that it's not inspired by God or that God can't use it to speak to people in very profound ways. But I do think it means that we need to read it with a certain lens. We need to have some perspective and take a step back when we're reading it, rather than just assuming that it is about what it purports to be about. Now, in the videos that I've shared so far, I've already demonstrated a couple of different ways of reading the Bible critically. One is by not ignoring the contradictions that are present within it, and I've taken you on some explorations of history and authorship and context to try to demonstrate how we can come to a deeper appreciation of the Bible. In the next few videos, I'm going to try to be a little bit more deliberate in sharing with you some of these tools of critical Bible study. I've already shared with you one about the history of the Bible and trying to put the Bible in its historical context. In the coming videos, I'm going to share with you a little bit more about reading the Bible and understanding its tone, understanding sarcasm and humor, and understanding some things that we oftentimes censor out of the Bible. My hope with all of these is not to destroy anyone's faith or ruin their confidence in the Bible, but really to help people have a greater appreciation of the wonderfully complex text that we have that informs our Christian faith. I hope you'll join me on this journey as we continue to learn more about the Bible. I learn new things every day. I've learned something new today just reading in Isaiah about the way that we understand our own ideas of race and ethnicity. There are all kinds of things that challenge our preconceived notions and I think help us to come to a fuller appreciation of the God that we serve. Thanks for watching these videos, and I hope you'll continue to do so and enjoy where we're going next.